Chapter 21, A Sad Discovery, page 128. It was still dark when Breeze nudged Granite awake. The rest of the pack were on their feet, roused by Ebony's howl. Granite was so tired that he had slept through the commotion. Slowly the dog got up and stretched. His pads were still tender, but the stiffness had left his legs. He scampered over the spring and lapped up the water that flowed above the ice. It was the time when the pack usually was deep into the hunt. But Ebony did not start a hunting song. Instead, he turned on his heel and trotted away without a sound. The wolves followed, as they always did. As Breeze and Granite swung into line, Strider warned the dog not to lag behind. Ebony would not rest again until he had reached the old meadow. Granite made a game of the trip, pretending that when he reached the second blueberry bush along the trail, he would get a fat snowshoe hare for his dinner. That made him run fast. Granite counted blueberry bushes until he grew tired, but there was no hare in that night, not even a single mouse. No one took the time to search for food. The wolves trotted silently, heads down, on their worrisome journey. The pack moved quickly, through trees, up rises, and down hillsides, following the stream. Now and again an owl hooted or a bush crackled as some animal got out of their way. The hours wore on. The darkness of night became gray, then pink. As the sun rose behind them, the line of wolves neared the old meadow. It lay on the other side of the next rise. Ebony broke into a run. His powerful legs carried him over the crest of the hill and out of sight. The rest of the pack kept at their steady pace, but before they reached the hilltop, a sorrowful howl cut through the morning air. It rose higher and higher, trembled, and died away. Something was wrong. Strider and Romer sprinted up the hill and were gone. Breeze ran part way, then darted back to Granite. She urged him to hurry. The dog did his best, but his legs were so tired that they could hardly move. At last, Breeze and Granite reached the top and began the journey down the other side. They moved a little faster now. They threaded their way among the rocks and around the bushes. The meadow lay before them in the cup at the base of the hill. Suddenly, Breeze was gone. Granite raised his head. Below him, the wolves were clustered together, looking at something. Breeze joined them. The wind blowing up the hill brought strong smells of fear and blood. Granite's fur stood up, making a ruff down his back. His stomach twisted. He was frightened, but he didn't know why. He forgot his weariness and ran down the slope at full speed, seeking the safety of the pack. Granite reached the bottom of the hill, but no one noticed him. They were intent on something. He slipped through the legs of the big wolves, but no one snapped or snarled. Even Strider paid no attention to the dog. His eyes did not waver from whatever was before him in the snow. There, in a heap, lay a bundle of white fur. It was Snowdrift. Her eyes were closed, and her breath came in great, shuddering sighs. On her side, the fur was stiff with dried blood, and there were heavy clots at the base of her skull. Around her, patches of blood stained the snow. Granite whimpered with fear. Ebony howled again, and the other wolves joined in. In the silence that followed his cry, he licked Snowdrift's wounds. When he had cleaned the blood away, he motioned for help. Together the wolves moved Snowdrift toward the shade of some willow bushes. Strider and Ebony gripped her hind legs delicately in their mouths and gently tugged at her. Breeze and Romer and Granite nudged her with their noses. Slowly they dragged her across the snow. Snowdrift whined with pain. Her eyes opened, but they were blank. She struggled wildly to get up. As she picked up the scent of the pack, she relaxed and sank back to the ground. The wolves shoved her under the willows, where she lay, panting heavily. Snowdrift needed water. The wolves scooped snow and carried it in their mouths to where Snowdrift lay. Standing over her, each wolf and Granite released melting snow on her muzzle. Weakly, Snowdrift's tongue licked up a few drops. Again and again, the pack brought mouthfuls of melting snow. Again and again, Snowdrift lapped it up. Then she slept. Ebony sniffed her neck, her ears, and her muzzle. Then he lay down beside her. The rest of the pack lay down too. The wolves slept fitfully until the world grew dark, and a small silver moon climbed the sky, all except Ebony, who watched over his mate with worried eyes.